That could very well be a common Bengals W. Man, is my hair ever messed up? I'm not in my Bengals studio, even though I got some Bengals stuff up there. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. Night one of the draft. Well, the Bengals end of things are complete unless they pull off some miraculous trade to move up into the end of the first round. Amarius Mims is the pick. We got Trey Hendrickson asking for hire or wanting an extension. He just doing shit to be doing shit. And Jake Browning signs an extension. Let's talk about it. Chime in the chat. Please leave a thumbs up. Check out Common Bengals W on Twitter and here on YouTube. Would greatly appreciate that. So the Cincinnati Bengals have a draft board that sort of falls in a pretty interesting way for them. They could have taken Brian Thomas at wide receiver. If they went like top of the line corner there, wouldn't have been like something I was over the moon about. But, considering how some of them fell, that was there. You had Fatanu, you had Amarius Mims. Byron Murphy got picked up right before. No, we weren't as lucky as Brock Powers falling all the way to 18. So I felt like it was down to Fatanu, Mims, and a defensive tackle. And the Cincinnati Bengals went Amarius Mims. He played all of 8 games in college. However, 8 games in college, right? During those 8 games, much like me, Amarius Mims has never allowed a QB hit or a sack. And that was in 377 pass blocking snaps. Now, I'll tell you this. If we had an offensive lineman that went 300 offensive snaps on specifically pass blocking snaps and didn't allow a sack, I would be quite thrilled with that. I would be pretty friggin' excited about that. So here's the reality of the situation right now. The Bengals drafted a very, very, very high upside offensive lineman in Amarius Mims. They needed that to replace Jonah Williams, who was a bad left tackle who became a solid right tackle, then moved on, got a good deal, I believe, in Arizona. In the meantime, the Cincinnati Bengals signed Trent Brown to a very team-friendly deal. Former Pro Bowler who has had some issues staying on the field or staying motivated, but is a perfect bridge right tackle, is 6'8", 370 in his own right, to match up with Orlando Brown being big as hell. And then Amarius Mims being 6'7", 340. They beefed up the tackle position, especially over the last 13 months specifically. So the Bengals are just looking for the largest humans alive at right tackle and left tackle. Trent Brown, Amarius Mims, Orlando Brown. So you look at Trent Brown and you go, well, okay, he missed 7 games or 6 games last year. He played all of 2022, but he missed 8 games the year before. He missed 11 the year before that, missed 5 the year before that. You're probably counting on him to miss a few games at this point. Amarius Mims will be playing. Other options at that stage that I would have been fine with are, Fatanu, he went to the Steelers, and listen, they're going to need plenty of protection for their quarterbacks as well. But, oh, man, I look at the way that things landed, and I'm like, okay, Chop Robinson, considering the fact that Trey Hendrickson's asking for a trade, okay, but Trey Hendrickson's got 2 years left on his deal, or he's going to be forfeiting a lot of money. As things stand right now, none of the other defensive tackles fell off the board. So I feel like Arohiro, if I said that name right, might still be there round 2. defensive tackle, and not just a defensive tackle, but a defensive tackle that you feel comfortable with taking some heavy snaps year one, I think needs to be the priority target round 2. That's from a complete amateur, don't know what I'm talking about, yada, yada. But that's what I think is the likely scenario for round 2. The Bengals pick at 49 as things stand. Now, the Bengals also have 2 third-round picks that will end up coming into play tomorrow. And they've got 10 picks in total. So I would love to see the Bengals at 97 take a couple of those late round picks and move up even a little bit more, because I think they're probably going to get a tight end or wide receiver there as well. Man, the offensive players were just coming off the board. The first 14 picks, offensive players. Then we had a string of where like 4 out of 5 were defensive players. But I tell you what, Mitchell and Arnold going in the 20s. Good value for the Lions and the Eagles there as well. Let's see what you guys have to say. Throwback says, what's good? Penix was shocking. Penix was shocking. Very shocking. But the Falcons see an awful lot in him. Maybe he was expecting Mims as a project. Could be a center. They could go for about 10 years. I don't think he'll be a center. I think he's going to be he's probably going to be a right tackle, and then he might move to left tackle if and when Orlando Brown were to ever finish up with the Bengals, which doesn't seem to be anytime soon. How old is Orlando Brown? He's still pretty young, yeah. But man, the more I think about the Mims pick, the more I like it. Yeah, Brown's 27. He's good for like 3, 4, 5 years. Hopefully. I'm more on the Mims pick because, listen, Trent Brown is a nice person to sign, especially for the deal they signed him for. But you got to expect him to miss time. Speaking of, at this point, Joe Burrow, you got to almost assume some shit is going to happen, right? Whether it be an ACL or a calf or a wrist or an appendix, like 4 different things, right? So ahead of last year, I said that a priority needed to be getting a veteran quarterback backup. And they brought in Trevor Siemian, and guess what happened? Jake Browning beat him for the job. And then when Joe Burrow went down, Jake Browning stepped in and played decent. Led the league in completion percentage. Discovered tight ends were a thing. Cool. But beat out Trevor Siemian and showed, you know what? He is completely fine as our backup quarterback. So the Bengals extended him for 2 years. I like that. That's good. I could see them taking like a 6th or 7th round quarterback as well, or just drafting or just trying to sign another veteran. I would feel better about them signing a veteran than spending a draft pick on something like that when they've got Browning for 2 years. If it was going to be 1 year, I would have been like, yeah, sure, go ahead. But bring in a veteran. Other things that the Bengals need, they're going to need like either a late round or undrafted free agent punter to compete with Brad Robbins, because Brad Robbins was the shits. So Amarius Mims, very high risk, high reward. He's got like elite measurables, athleticism, size, all that stuff. This could end up being a massively successful pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. There's always the chance that it couldn't pay off. And of course, that's the risk you take here. But to me, the reward on Mims is good. What do you expect on day 2? So the Bengals have a 2nd rounder, a 3rd rounder, and then a supplement or a compensatory pick. I think you gotta go defensive tackle round 2. You have to if you're the Cincinnati Bengals. Unless somebody too good to be true happens to fall to you. Then in that case, something else. But as things stand right now, I look at it and I'm like, okay, if I would love it if Johnny Newton fell all the way down. I would love that. But right now, I think it'll be Rook Arohoro. But when you look at that, if Isaac is still on the board at edge, I think you got to consider it. I think Michael Hall Jr. is worth looking at that spot as well. Chris Jenkins will be there. So the Bengals, if they are at 49, if the Bengals are at 49, and first off, if Michael Hall Jr. and Rook Arohoro, I hate pronouncing that name. If Arohoro and Michael Hall are both on the board, well, then you trade back a little bit. D. Mahler says the Bengals are going to need to make cap room to extend Jamar. No, they're not. No, they're absolutely not. The Bengals have plenty of cap space for Jamar. Like there's no. The Bengals are going to be good on Jamar just based on the salary cap increase, let alone that. Like the Bengals on the offensive side do not have big deals. Brown and Burrow are the two big deals there. That's it. So say the Bengals take Arohoro or Jenkins or anybody like that second round. They're also going to have the 80th pick as well. There's the possibility of a Jenkins or a Fisk or somebody like that falling there, but I don't mind like a Jatavion Sanders there as well. If the Bengals are taking a tight end in the first 3 rounds, though, I want it to be a tight end that they think is going to get a shit ton of play. I want people in the first 3 rounds for the Cincinnati Bengals to be people that are getting snaps. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for here. Speaking of snap, Trey Hendrickson snapped less than 9 months after signing an extension for another year. He has requested a trade or said that he might retire unless he gets an extension. Well, first off, I certainly ain't going to give an extension to somebody who's threatening to retire now. Because if his heart ain't in it then, what the hell am I supposed to expect after the 2 years that he is under contract for? Now, I get it. He wants more money. Don't we all, right? I can tell you from a professional perspective, I take less money so my team can succeed. Just something, and you know what? My priorities aren't everybody else's priorities. My needs aren't his needs. But since he can't even touch the salary for another 3 months, they can add years, bonuses, guaranteed money at any time, sure. But I'll tell you what, if he retires, I'll take that money that he was making. I'll apply it towards some sort of extension to Jamar Chase or somebody else. And that'll be that. Bengals got him in free agency. I mean, if you look at things and, okay, say he doesn't want to come back. I don't know who the hell is still out there at this stage. I think Tyler Boyd is legitimately one of the best that's still out there. But like, maybe you try to get who's there, Michael Dana or somebody like that to try to help with some depth at edge. If is or did he get signed by the Chiefs? I think he did. He got signed by the Chiefs, so not him. Who the hell's even there? But Stephon Gilmore at quarterback, maybe. I mean, but you let Murphy, you let Asai play a little bit more. A bad taste in my mouth of this Hendrickson thing. And, you know, when it rains, it pours because of the T. Higgins thing. But T. Higgins, I get. I understand. Trey Hendrickson, I don't really understand. Why on earth are you signing a new deal to extend yours? Keep in mind, at the time in which he signed this deal, he was then under contract for 3 years. And now he's saying, well, I want long-term security. Well, guess what? At the time you signed that deal, that is long-term security. It's a 3-year deal. Retiring? What the fuck? Part on this show. But retiring? What are we doing here? What are we talking about here? That's a hissy fit, because you're actively saying that you want an extension. So you're not looking to retire. You're looking to add more years. So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, well, he's got to do what's right for him. No, it's not the situation. Dude wants more money. He's throwing a fit over it. Got a shitty agent. Listen, man, I am almost always pro player. Let's look at it with T. Higgins. Like, would I be okay if the Bengals traded him for a second rounder tomorrow? Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Do I want T. Higgins on this team? Hell yeah, I do. I wouldn't mind if they franchised him for 2 more years. Wouldn't mind if they signed him to a long-term deal. Sure. Pro player in that situation, because I get it. I understand. This guy signed a new deal. Then last year, keep in mind, after the Bengals took a chance on him, and he said that, wanted to be a Bengal forever, last year added time. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Then don't extend last year. Bro, what are you talking about? Don't extend last year. So there's a lot of people talking about the Amarius Mims pick. They do believe he's the best pass protecting right tackle in this year's draft. The lack of game experience is definitely something that is cause for concern, but I really do feel like the possible upside of Amarius Mims is just so high. And also, I think that there are a possibility of like 2 or 3 defensive tackles that could end up going to the Bengals at that spot that I think could make a difference next year. Watching the draft, does it need to be this much of a spectacle? Is the NFL draft really making a profit just from the draft? Yes. Yes, television rights and all that stuff. Oh, boy, are they ever. So let me tell you my draft story. So I'm a season ticket holder, right? Upgraded to club. Fancy. Very proud of that. Very happy about that. Is it a lot? Yes, it is. I worked my ass off to get it. You can't put a price on peace of mind, right? And those are my Sundays in the fall. So as a part of the season ticket holder thing, you get invited to the draft party, which is thousands of people there. My wife and I go, and then that's not really my scene. I'll give you an example. I cover pro wrestling. I love pro wrestling. Few things I love more in this world than football and pro wrestling, but I would rather watch wrestling from home. I'm a homebody. That's just how I am. We got there. We saw the big line. We went through it. We got up there. We bought some incredibly overpriced Skyline chili. Like, damn, bro. Y'all can't give us a discount. $35 for 4 conies and 2 bottles of water. We ate them. We looked around. We took a picture. We drove right back home. We were there 20 minutes. We drove like an hour and a half up there to go there for 20 minutes. And we're like, not for us. Not for us. We did get to scope out like where our new seats are going to be. There aren't actually seats in there right now because they have them all out because they're replacing them. But they also have the field service up too because they're replacing it. But yeah. Turned around and left. Man. Throwback. It's also great to see you here. Drew Douglas, my good friend, says Trey's agent more clueless than Cher Horowitz. What an oaf. It's such a dumb thing. And if it's Trey motivated, listen, man, do better, bro. Do better. I got some pictures up on Common Bengals W of my exhilarating 20 minutes at the draft party, as well as a little peek at Paycor Stadium without the field surface on it. I don't know what other events are this season. I think that they do the thing where you can go tour the stadium. I'll take some more pictures of that as well. And I mean, I see people that are complaining about Fontenot. Like, I wouldn't have hated it. I wouldn't have minded it. But I mean, that dude's primarily a guard, and he's much older than Amarius Mims. Oh, man. So, you know what? As I see things, Jordan Morgan went at 25. You know, kind of think the Bengals made the right decision now. Because if Jordan Morgan's going at 25, I feel like a lot of those offensive tackles will be adjusting. Graham Barton at center for the Bucks at 26. You got Darius Robinson, defensive end, at 27. Yeah. Doesn't look like I'm going to go to Cincinnati again for the WWE draft tomorrow, but I'm going to be doing a mock draft on In the Weeds. So let's enjoy that. But yeah, I'll probably be back here tomorrow night or something talking NFL draft and the following day. Oh man, have the Bengals dropped their third alt jersey for the season? They haven't. I kind of hope they do like a chrome helmet or something. You know, lots of options for the Bengals. Oh man, I saw one of the ugliest jersey of the Bengals is when they had the orange, white, and black on them. Oh, those were so ugly. So ugly. Guys, I'm exhausted. Till next time, we're out.